It's happening 250 miles above the Earth. For the first time ever, NASA is ending a mission early to medically evacuate an astronaut, bringing the 4-person crew 11 home early because of a medical situation involving one of them.
All right, fasten your seatbelt, space fans. NASA's Might Artemis 2 moon rocket is now at its launch pad and getting ready for liftoff.
China has launched a spacecraft to allow them to bring 3 astronauts stuck in the country's space station back to Earth.
Right now, astronauts on the International Space Station are drinking water that's cleaner than what comes out of your tap. Here's the part that'll make you uncomfortable. Yesterday, it was urine. And that is just the beginning of how humans survive in the most hostile environment imaginable. 250 miles above Earth, traveling at 17,500 miles per hour. The International Space Station is humanity's most extreme survival experiment. No air, no water, no gravity. Just 6 humans living in a tin can, hurtling through the void. In the next 10 minutes, I'll reveal the hidden systems keeping astronauts alive. From the $23 million toilet that uses suction to prevent a disaster, to why food tastes completely different in orbit, and the terrifying reason an astronaut's bones could turn to dust without a brutal daily ritual. But first, let's talk about the most basic thing you take for granted: breathing. Here's what nobody tells you about space. It's not just that there's no air, it's that 6 humans breathing in a sealed metal tube would suffocate themselves in hours. The ISS solves this with a system so elegant it's almost beautiful: water electrolysis. The station takes water and runs electricity through it, literally ripping H2O molecules apart. The oxygen goes to the crew, the hydrogen is either vented or recycled. It's a closed loop that would make any engineer weep. But generating oxygen is only half the battle. Every breath you take produces carbon dioxide. In a sealed room, CO2 builds up fast. Too much and you're looking at headaches, confusion and death. The ISS uses molecular sieves, nets of zeolite crystals, to trap CO2 like a microscopic cage. But here is the detail that keeps astronauts awake at night. Without gravity, there is no convection. Hot air doesn't rise. Cold air doesn't fall. Without fans constantly forcing air to move, an astronaut could literally suffocate in their sleep, surrounded by an invisible growing bubble of their own exhaled CO2. Now let's talk about the system that makes people gag: the water cycle. The ISS recycles 93% of all water. That includes urine, sweat, humidity from breath, and even moisture from the air. Why? Because shipping a single gallon of water from Earth costs roughly $40,000. The process is a mechanical gauntlet. First, the urine processor spins at high speeds to distill water vapor away from the waste. Then that water passes through multi-filtration beds, ion exchange systems, and catalytic oxidation to destroy every trace of bacteria. The result? Water that is more chemically pure than what you buy in a bottle. As former Commander Chris Hadfield says, yesterday's coffee is today's coffee. But here's the reality check. You're doing the same thing on Earth. Every drop of water on this planet has been through the gut of a dinosaur or a neighbor at some point. The ISS just does the work in hours instead of millennia. Eating in space isn't a meal, it's a fight against physics. Imagine trying to eat a bowl of soup where the liquid won't stay in the bowl and the spoon won't hold the liquid. Everything floats. This is why bread is strictly banned. Floating crumbs are mission-ending debris that can fly into an astronaut's eye or short-circuit a multi-billion-dollar computer. Tortillas are the unsung heroes of space because they don't create crumbs. And it gets weirder. In zero gravity, your bodily fluids shift toward your head. Astronauts spend months feeling like they have a permanent head cold. This stuffy nose effect completely dulls their sense of taste. This is why space food is notoriously bland, and why hot sauce is the most valuable currency on the station. If you can't smell, you can't taste, so you drown everything in Tabasco just to feel something. Recently, the ISS grew its first space salad in the veggie chamber. For people who haven't crunched on a fresh vegetable in 6 months, eating a single leaf of lettuce is an emotional experience. How do you use the bathroom when down doesn't exist? You use a $23 million vacuum. The space toilet doesn't use water. It uses powerful suction to pull waste away from the body. For number 1, you use a funnel and a hose. For number 2, you have to aim into a hole only 4 inches wide. To get it right, astronauts actually have to use a positioning trainer on Earth, a toilet with a camera inside so they can learn to align themselves perfectly. The liquid waste is recycled into drinking water. The solid waste, it's vacuum sealed into bags stored in a cargo ship and eventually released to burn up in the Earth's atmosphere. So if you've ever seen a shooting star, there is a non-zero chance you are actually looking at a bag of flaming astronaut poop. Living in space is a slow-motion car crash for the human body. Without the constant push of gravity, your body thinks your bones are useless. You begin to lose 1.5% of your bone mass every month. Your heart, a muscle, starts to shrink because it doesn't have to work to pump blood up to your brain. To survive, astronauts must perform a brutal 2-hour daily workout. They use the ARED, a machine that uses vacuum cylinders to simulate 600 pounds of weight. They have to strap themselves to a treadmill with bungee cords just to keep their feet from floating off the belt. If they skip these workouts, they might not be able to walk or even support their own weight when they return to Earth. Even sleep is a struggle. They zip themselves into vertical bags inside phone booth quarters. Some report nightmares of falling that never end, which makes sense because the ISS is technically in a state of constant freefall around the planet. But the hardest part isn't the science, it's the isolation. Imagine living in a space the size of a few school buses with 5 other people for 180 days. No fresh breeze, no rain, no privacy. The psychological strain is immense. The only escape is the cupola, the 7-window dome facing Earth. When astronauts look down, they experience the overview effect. They see a planet with no borders, a thin blue line of atmosphere, and a deep realization of how fragile we are. It's the one thing that makes the recycled air and the urine water worth it. Everything we've built on the ISS is a dress rehearsal for the main event, Mars. A trip to the red planet means 3 years without a resupply. No emergency escape. If the water recycler breaks, you die. If the CO2 scrubbers fail, you die. The ISS has proven that we can survive in the void, but Mars will test if we can truly live there. We are a species that can turn urine into water and fall around the Earth at 17,000 miles per hour just to see what's possible. The ISS isn't just a lab, it's the first stepping stone to becoming a multi-planetary species. Next time, we're looking at the engineering behind SpaceX's Starship, the ship designed to turn these survival experiments into a permanent colony. Would you spend 6 months in a tin can for that view of the Earth? Let me know in the comments. Hit subscribe to join us as we explore the tech that's taking us to the stars. The future is happening 250 miles above your head. Let's keep exploring.